Hi everybody and welcome to Stretch and Mobility for keyboard warriors. So today we're really talking about some key movements that can really help you guys just correct some posture. So my name's Alistair, David Clubs, and I'm going to take you guys through 5 movements, or 5 options really. There are loads of different positions, different exercises, different solutions that will certainly help with your posture. I'm going to try and simplify things. We're just going to choose 5 that can really help some key areas of the body. So if you're sat behind a desk for long periods of time, these are the sort of things that you could get up, you could do hopefully quite easily and quite simply when you're in the office. So what we're talking about with regards to posture, and this is an exercise I want you guys to have a go at now if you're standing, is particularly if you've got a mirror in front of you, this is useful, or if you've got someone that can look at you and give you the feedback, that would be even better. But when just in a normal standing position, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, I want you to look at your hands or look at your knuckles and just see how many visible knuckles can you see staring back at you in the mirror. So in other words, if we've got quite a healthy posture in terms of our shoulder position, you might only notice the first knuckle that's visible in the mirror. However, if we're quite internally rotated, or if we look a little bit like a gorilla with our posture, then we might notice that we've got quite a few knuckles visible. So that's the first thing I want you guys to think about. And then we can apply a little drill for you to have a go at. So if you were sat behind the desk and you think, right, I've done I think it's every 20, 30 minutes is what we recommend that you get up and you should move around so that you're not just sat still and being sedentary for long periods of time. So think about your little 20-minute keyboard break, and we're going to stand up and we're going to try and correct our posture. So when we're sat down for long periods of time, we know that we can have quite a forward tilt on the pelvis. We can get quite tight through the hip flexors and through these quads. So the first thing to try and do when we stand up is to try and tilt that pelvis back. And 2 ways of doing that are, one is just trying to tuck the bottom underneath. The other way is if I just try and squeeze my glutes, so squeeze your butt cheeks, you notice that kind of pulls this belt line into a nice neutral position. So this is really helpful for finding a neutral spine or a neutral pelvis position and helps take some stress out of the lower back. So let's have a go at that now. So what we're going to get you to do is try and tilt the pelvis or squeeze the glutes and pull that pelvis into a neutral position. And once we've got that, we can try and just draw the belly button in towards the spine a little bit. So we've got some abdominal tension there, and that means that we can relax the tension on the glutes. You don't have to squeeze the butt cheeks all the way through this movement. Now the second thing I want you to have a go at is take these thumbs pointing towards each other in front and externally rotate. So you've got these thumbs pointing behind you as far as you can. So you've got these shoulder blades now squeezed together. Now, when we're squeezing the shoulder blades together, I want you to keep that tension there, but I don't want you to be shrugging those shoulders. So drop the shoulders low, but try and keep that squeeze on the shoulder blades together. So I want you to keep the squeeze, but now relax the arms back to the side, but make sure you've got that little £1 coin pinched between the shoulder blades still. Now, this shoulder position will probably be about 90% of where we should be in terms of posture. So this gives you an idea of quite a nice shoulder position. So the upper back's engaged a little bit, the scapula, the shoulder blades are where they should be. If this feels very alien and uncomfortable to you, then that might give you an insight into how internally rotated you've become, kind of hunched over that computer, almost like a human cashew nut. So what we're trying to do is correct that cashew nut shape and try and make sure that the upper back muscles are starting to do what they should be doing. What plays against these back muscles is that if we become tight and sticky through these front tissues on the top of the chest and the front of the shoulder. So these are working against the back muscles. These are putting everything, holding it in the position that your body thinks that these muscles want to be in, because you're asking it to do this position every single day. So we're trying to combat that. So remember that little 20-minute break from your desk drill. Just help reset your posture, have a little walk, go make a cup of tea, come back to your desk, and then continue with your work. All right, so that's our gorilla posture drill. Number 2 we're going to do is just a chin tuck exercise. So this will not look like the world's most flattering exercise, but it's really effective at trying to kind of adjust or correct kind of a text neck or a computer neck. So we've got that head traveling forwards. What we're going to try and do here is just push the chin back in. It gives you a really nice flattering double chin position. And think about almost holding that for about 5 seconds. So we come back to a normal stand. Remember, you're holding your shoulders in the right place. What we're going to do is just gently take the chin, tuck that in, think about that 5-second hold, I know you're going to feel ridiculous, but don't worry about it. Allow that head to come back to a normal position. I'll show you from the side again. So normal position, I've got my shoulders back. I'm going to just tuck the chin in. 4, 3, 2, can't talk, 1, and then return back to that normal position. And we can repeat that for a good 5-6 cycles. We should start feeling these neck muscles starting to do something. So we're just trying to correct that kind of chicken head or that kind of text neck, keyboard neck position. So that's a really useful drill for you to do. Again, you can do that anywhere. When you're sat in the car, it's another really good one with the steering wheel. Shoulders tend to be forward, so try and get the shoulders back. If you start noticing looking forward over the steering wheel, just think about pushing that chin in, putting your head back against the headrest, and you can still do those chin tucks really effectively behind the wheel of the car as well. So 5-second holds, think about trying to build it up, 10 reps, etc. until you start feeling a little bit of fatigue build. That would be great. But mainly just being aware of where that chin should be, and more importantly, where it shouldn't be. Having fun. Okay, number 3 is an exercise called wall angels. Now you guys can do this standing, you can do it seated. I'm going to do it seated just so that I don't stand and punch my clock off the wall. But this is a really useful one for being aware again about what our posture is like in the upper back and any tightness, any imbalances that we might have. So the seated version is just to sit the bum down and push the back in against the wall. The standing version is to just lean in a little bit, make sure your lumbar spine, your mid back and your upper back and your head, your chin, everything is pushed nice and flat and tidy into the wall. So when we do the movement, it's really important that we don't come away from this position. We're really supported and really secure in that position. So the seated version, exactly the same. I'm just making sure that I'm reversing the bottom, the lower back right in against the wall, so that isn't going to move. I'm tucking the chin, I'm making sure that my back is really nice and secure against the wall. So from this position, all I'm going to do is bring the elbows up to about shoulder height. I'm going to try and externally rotate the hands or the wrists until they're against the wall. And from here, very slowly, all I'm going to do is reach up, trying to get as full length as possible on those arms, and then slowly return back as low as I can go. But remember, the key goal is how close can I keep the elbows and the back of the hands or the wrists against the wall without this internal rotation happening. So without the wrist or the hand coming forwards off the wall, or even worse, if the back's starting to arch because it's trying to help you out, it's trying to cheat the movement a little bit. So make sure the rib cage doesn't come out in front, push the ribs back in, back is flat, elbows against the wall, wrist against the wall, chin is in, and just slow and controlled reach. So again, when the first time you try this one, don't worry if those arms start coming forwards in front to begin with. That's just where you are on day one. But over time, when you practice, you might be able to open up a little bit further until we're almost back on the wall, squeezing the shoulder blades together and reaching up until we've got that full length. So look, that's a nice controlled movement, and it's one of those exercises that is a good assessment. So it's a good diagnostic tool. It lets you know any imbalances, what's your right side like versus your left side, etc. But it's also part of the solution. So just by doing that movement, you can help open up, improve and get stronger in those kind of externally rotated positions. So over time, you'll notice little doses, little and often, and you'll improve quite considerably on that one. So that's our wall angels drill. Okay, we're on number 14. Number 4 is our shoulder invigorator. So these invigorators are just a little shoulder sequence, again, really designed to both target a little bit of strength work, but again, give us some awareness of what mobility we have or haven't got through that posterior chain. So let me show you this. Lying down on the floor, we've got the start position, which is trying to keep your head and your neck in line with your spine. So don't worry about trying to lift the head and the neck up, just try and keep your head. You can, if you had a kind of your top or a cushion, you can have your head rested here. But all we're going to do is start position, elbows on the floor. We're going to hands on the back of the head and elevate the elbows until we can retract and squeeze those shoulder blades. So we're retracting and squeezing the shoulder blades. Then we're going to reach all the way back, thumbs up towards the ceiling, squeezing the shoulder blades, turning the hands until the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. We've now got the backs of the hand on the lower back, and all I'm going to do now is just try and drop the elbows as far towards the floor as I can, so separating the shoulder blades, and then I'm just going to reverse or press rewind to reverse the sequence. So lift the elbows, retract and squeeze the shoulder blades. Sweep the hands, turning those thumbs back up, towards the top of the head, and then relax those elbows back towards the floor. So team, we're going to repeat the movement. Lift up, retract, squeeze, sweep the hands, trying to keep the height on these arms all the way through, turning those palms to face up towards the ceiling, and then allowing the shoulder blades to separate, lowering those elbows as close to the floor as we can. Lift, squeeze, and we return towards that start position. So what you should notice after a good 4 or 5 repeats is that 2 things happen. One is that you're probably going to start to fatigue a little bit. You're going to feel those back muscles working quite hard, trying to control those positions. But certainly you should, after 1, 2, 3 reps, start to notice that the movement frees up a little bit. You're able to do that a little bit easier. So you're just looking to notice or gauge some improvement through doing that movement, basically. All right, and this leads us on to final one, number 5. These are for wrists. So think about these overused digits, keyboard warrior all the time, or texting all the time. And we can quite often get some imbalances through the flexors and the extensors of the forearm, and some tightness and stiffness and things through the wrists. So I'm going to give you a couple of drills just to help counteract that. We can do these standing, and we can do them on all fours position. We'll show you the standing option to begin with. So to really stretch, again, these flexors, this part of the forearm, what we're going to do is just take the arm out in front, other hand, finger to finger, we can gently just drop and pull these fingers back. So we're starting to feel a nice stretch open up through the forearm. So you can see that from this side on view. So just a couple of nice deep breath cycles, in through your nose, out through your mouth, until we've reached a full range of movement, and then we can relax, and we can have a little go on the other side. So you can pull in, keep that breathing going. Once we reach that full range, and we can alternate. We can spend a little bit more time just mobilizing gently in and out, and just seeing whether we can open them up a little bit. Make sure we're always staying away from pain on these. You can challenge yourself with the movement, but make sure again it's not painful. The same version on the floor, getting in an on all fours position, and all we would do here is just start externally rotating the hands around until we can almost get those little fingers close together. You'll notice I've got my shoulders stacked over the top of the wrists, and then very gently all I'm going to do is just rock back until I can feel a nice stretch open up on the forearm and through the wrists, and then return to take the stretch off, gently drop back to take the stretch on, put the stretch on, and then take the stretch off. So just like we were doing from our standing position, but we're now using a little bit of body weight, a little bit of compression here, and just gently guiding that. And it does mean what we're trying to do is keep the palm of the hand glued into the floor and not allowing that to lift up. We go back to the extensors. So again, from this position, if I'm just punching my hand out in front, all I'm going to do is grab hold of this index finger knuckle in particular and just gently push down towards the floor. And what we're starting to feel now is a nice stretch open up right across the top of the forearm. So again, we can mobilize in and out, just applying, guiding it, a little bit of pressure there, kind of exploring, what feels good or any tight spots that you might find. So compare it to the other side, mobilizing in and out, keeping that breathing going. And exactly the same version that you could do on the floor. So on the on all fours position, what I would probably recommend is that you try one arm at a time on this to begin with. So it can feel quite uncomfortable to bear weight in this position to begin with, so you're used to it. So try and keep most of your weight on the other arm, and then just slowly drift back until you feel a good stretch, and then shoulders back, snapped on top of the wrist to take the stretch off. Gently back, gently return. By the 3rd, 4th, 5th rep, I might have gone back a little bit further and just allow that to open a little bit more. Exactly the same on this side. Slow and controlled, just open that. And again, can't emphasize enough, when you're testing and trying out these movements for the first time, obviously be really slow and controlled, just explore what your body is prepared to give you. Main job of our brains and our nervous system is to protect and avoid something that doesn't feel safe doing. So make sure we're really cautious and just maintain the control all the way through your moves. So team, a really simple 5 exercises that I hope you feel of benefit. There are thousands of others that we could do, but that just gives you 5 to have a go with and should hit some key areas of the body. So keyboard warriors, that was your stretch and mobility routine. My name's Alistair, see you guys soon.